Hello. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Whole Pet Academy show. And tonight we have Dara Forleo and we have Shannon Dugan. And I'm Christy Newmeyer Smith. I'm kind of always here. But we but we're going to talk about pricing structures. And that's kind of an interesting topic. I don't think we've talked about that for a long time, but it's certainly something really important for all of us as groomers. Many of us are business owners, and many of us are groomers first and not super business minded. So let's delve into that. What do you guys think?
Totally
Yes,
game.
Yeah, yeah. No, Shannon. So I kind of have known Shannon for a long time through other people, but Shannon, you've been grooming for over 30 years, correct?
Yep. Yep. I sure
Yeah.
have. Yes. 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 So I started grooming when back in the day it was common just to get 50% commission. It didn't matter. Like there was no other pay scale. It was just, that was that. If you had a year or more of grooming under you, you were paid commission and that
Mhm.
worked. But that doesn't work these days. Right, like there's a lot of talk about that, about how to pay groomers appropriately and how to sustain a business based on these pay scales. And so me, I actually brought this subject up because from a business owner point of view who is looking to start hiring another groomer, and I've started this process like 2 or 3 times over the last 7 years, and every time I get frustrated because the groomers, they want too much money, not as much accountability. They don't assume the liability. I do, right? That's just how it goes. But they don't seem to understand where we come from as business owners and fellow groomers to not be able to pay them what somebody else may have, and we don't even get as far as to talk about, you know, the positives as to getting a lower pay and what comes along with that. So my interest was, what are people doing these days? Like that have 5 or 6 groomers. I'm the only groomer in my shop. I have support staff and I have assistants, but I am the only physical groomer that puts a clipper or a pair of scissors on any dog that comes in. And I realize sustainability wise, I cannot continue that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
here we are
Mhm.
again. I do this like every year or two, and I get
Yeah.
very frustrated because of the negative feedback I get from people, and their level of experience based off of what they're asking for, and then they're closed minded, a lot of them. And again, this is just my personal experience. I know there's got to be other ones out there, and maybe the universe will align and they'll find me through this, maybe. But so I just want to know, like, how do people get there? Like, so if
Yeah.
you are offering your groomers 50%, and that's, there's no way to afford it. I'm required, because I have a larger staff in another area of my business, because it's multifaceted, I pay benefits. We have 401k. So like all of that, somebody has to pay for that. So if I'm paying somebody 50% commission, and then they want all of this other stuff, like that other stuff comes out of the other 50%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's left over for the business?
Right.
What's left over, for
And
simple
I
math.
think for such a long time it was we would get 50%, and then that you still see it out there where people are like, I'm the one grooming the dog, I'm the talent here, and
Right.
but
It's
it's not
ego.
sustainable for the business. And one of the I saw Terry DiMarino talking about this, and she asks people, she says, so when you go to get a car loan, do you tell them, well, I make 50%? Well, what do you make every year? 50%. Like, no, you have to tell them a number.
Right. And
It's a
that's what I
number.
want. I want
What
the
do
number,
you make? What do
exactly.
you
I
make,
want people to
hourly or
believe that.
salary? Yeah,
Right.
like, is it hourly? Is it salary? What do you make? Because 50% of a
Of
really
what?
low-paying shop may
Right.
not be the same kind of money as some place that does things differently. So I've been grooming for about as long as Shannon, and I've worked a number of different versions where commission, or I was commissioned, but I had to like pay part of that to the brusher bather if I used a brusher bather. And then I've worked hourly too, and I really liked hourly better. I think that there was better teamwork with hourly,
Right. Yes.
and I made really good money hourly. I did not feel like I wasn't making money when I worked hourly because it was still based on how many dogs you can groom, how efficient you are.
Right.
And it was better for the business in general. Like I wanted that business to stay open.
Well, and
And
you
that's
take
my
into
mindset.
consideration your tips as well.
Right.
Yep.
Shop
Yep.
that is a higher end shop, and not even so much a higher end shop, but a shop that has good customer service, that has a good rapport with the community, is going to have higher paying tips or a better tip scale. So you've got to take that into consideration, that that's part of your salary.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that's part of what you make when you take home. Yeah.
yeah, tips, but that's not included or thought in, you know,
Right.
as a service industry. When you go as a bartender, as a waitress or a server at a restaurant, or even hairdressers, you know, they're making a smaller commission because their money is based off of their tips to provide better service. That's
Mhm.
what the service industry is all about, I think. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
But it's just walking in and demanding 50% or expecting 50%. I know we've talked a little bit about it before, but it seems like services or places that have more income coming in from other venues of or other fingers of the business tend to be able to pay that 50% commission. But that's not always the case. Obviously, you're saying, Shannon, you know, it's hard. You still have to make money off those rooms. You
Mhm.
can't be at a 50% commission and expect that people are going to, or that groomers are going to walk away and they're happy, but you're coming home with $5.
Right.
That's not good business sense.
Yeah.
And
Well,
businesses stay in business because they have a numbers factor going on.
well, and honestly, like I left a grooming job because I was making 50%, but off of whatever crazy pricing structure they had. If I did like a whole bunch of dematting and extra brushing and stuff, they would charge an extra $5. I'm like, I made commission on $5.
Right.
Right. So like it's not always a benefit to the groomer as an employee either.
Right.
But you know,
The wear and tear on you for that.
yeah, yeah. And then also if you're doing commission and stuff like that, what are the responsibilities and duties involved? I just found that hourly we got better teamwork. You know, like, hey,
I would
listen, you are
prefer-
actually part of setting up and cleaning up and, you know, chipping in if somebody else needs help happened a
Yeah.
lot more.
That's, I found, coming from a background of a lot of switching from commission to teamwork to, you know, the whole thing. I found as long as you are following your policies and procedures manual, yes, hourly is the way to go, as long as there's that accountability. But otherwise, it doesn't, because there's always somebody else who does a little bit more. There's always that one person who's like, just goes above and beyond. And they're the ones who kind of take the back seat. And if you're not monitoring that, they're the ones who are probably your best employees. And they're the first ones to leave because they're feeling left out, they're doing more. And so keeping up with that policies, and that has, I know I made that mistake of not, and found out real quick how that does not work when you just go blind by it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And Jennifer Bishop Jenkins is on, and she said that they pay hourly for exactly the same reason. It's better teamwork.
Yeah.
The staff helps each other more, and she thinks it's clearly the direction the industry is going in. And I think that
At
I
the moment,
kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
at the moment, my entire staff is hourly, but I
Yeah.
do not have a groomer. So everyone, but the staff of 10 between daycare, you know, and the grooming facility. And we we have support staff, right?
Mhm.
So it's, somebody coming in looking for commission, even at whatever commission, and again, it's illegal, even though in the past, groomers have been required to pay and tip out bathers and whatnot. That's illegal. Like you're an employee, so I can't say to you, hey, I hired this person, but I can't afford to pay this person because I pay you too much. Now you're going to get your 50%, but now you have to give back 10% to these other two girls that help out. Like that isn't, some places still do it that way, but that is illegal. Like same
And
thing.
they also require them to bring their own equipment, which as an
Right.
employee,
Right.
that should all be supplied to you, whether you like it
Exactly.
or not. What you need to do your job should be supplied to you 100%. If you choose to go out and bring your own stuff in, I think that's a little different, but it should be offered. Every shop, I mean,
Absolutely. Right.
it should be there and available because you have to be able to do your job, and that's not supplying your own equipment as an employee. Now, there are, it is a roller coaster out there for what's going on. And I think a lot of the problem is that when people are going from job to job or looking for their next, they're automatically thinking, this is what I deserve. This, I want 50%. But they're not looking at it, like you said, about the benefits. They're also not looking at it as what's next.
Right.
You
Right.
only do so many dogs a day. Where's your raise? How, if you're on commission, what's next? What's your next level? Because there's nothing there. If you're expecting 50% right off the bat, you can only, that's as high as you go. And there's no more incentives beyond that.
And it feels like a dead end job.
And it feels like a dead end job. So if you're starting, I've had numerous conversations with a lot of other business owners about it in coaching sessions. And it is starting at the numbers. It is, I want 50% because that's what I get. But if you go, but what was your base? They don't, like you said, they don't know that base. They probably don't even know what they make consistently from week to week to week, because how are you monitoring it? How are you watching it? How do you even know? Especially if you may not even be checking out those dogs. So there's no way for you to go back and even check and see if you're making the correct amount on your paycheck. So if
it brings up other questions too, that if you want to make 50%, are you also checking in your own dogs, checking out your own dogs? Like the staff at this place is also doing a lot of work for you.
Right.
But you're not making all the money for them. That's one of the things I keep seeing coming up. It's like, but I'm the one making their money. Like you're part of making their money, but there's a lot of support that goes into you doing that groom. They have tubs and they have cleaning and they have products that we use and they have the electricity and the parking lot and all of those things. Trash removal, towels,
shampoos.
Yeah.
Right. Don't remind me. It's my day off. Don't remind me. That's tomorrow. No. So that's where I want to be. Like, I want an hourly employee because we do work as a team. And, I always say to people out of simplicity, because we're all the same level playing field. We all clean up poop. All of us. If you see it and it needs attention, you do it. Like you don't raise your hand and go, should I do that? Or, hey, there's something that needs attention. You just do it. So, and that goes for me too. If my assistant is struggling or my receptionist is struggling or my cleaner needs help, I stop and help them because I'm a team player. And that's, I want them to see me doing it so they know that that's what they're expected of doing too, right? Leading and setting an example. So maybe I'm just finding the wrong people. Maybe I'm not, I'm just am I wording it wrong? Am I not prepared? Did I not fully open myself to the universe because I wasn't ready for another groomer? Because it's a lot of liability, right? I have to assume a lot of risk putting another pair of scissors in someone else's hand. And
you're turning over your clientele to somebody else.
30 years,
and that I think is another big. It's my clientele.
Right.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
And like I gotta say, there are times too where I think we forget that being a new employee someplace means you are not doing your best work at that moment. You're still learning that shop style, how
Mm.
that shop likes things done. Um, like there's a lot of learning curve there. And so you're probably not going to fit in right away and be like, I'm an epic groomer. Like it's not that you're a bad groomer, but you have to learn that job. And I kind of wonder if maybe it's a matter of posting it as hourly rate starting at or salary starting
right.
at for people to go, oh, I could live off that money. I wonder if I make that much now as a commissioned groomer, you know,
Do
for
they
them to realize like it's
use it
about how
not
much
like
you
that?
make. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
maybe I just have to tweak things a little bit. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I just haven't had any luck. And I just get frustrated with what comes through and what I get back for feedback. And then we get to the process of maybe like a working interview, and I'm mortified. And this is all before like even this last year when we've changed over products and equipment, and we've always done things kindly and in as much of a manner as we could for fear free and behavioral. Like we've always have taken that into account, but now we're like certified in all those areas. And now, my expectation is I want someone working for me that also is interested in doing those things, not just saying, yes, I'll do what you want me to do, but taking that effort. And so on, now I'm like, well, now you just made it harder, Shannon. Like you're not going to get anybody in here because now you just made the job even harder. So it's just been, I guess it's just an open conversation. It just seems a little frustrating, and my area has a lot of competition, but just like every other, area or town, each grooming shop has its little niche. And,
yeah.
we provide a lot of um, services you can't get at those other places. We just do. It's just not, that's our niche. We offer a lot of therapies and specialty services and um, hand scissoring. And as much as that
What
sounds like everyone should, not everyone does, right? So I can't
what does
compare.
your um your hiring post look like? What do you
Question. It's a good question because it's been about a year, but I would I think we were looking for someone with a minimum of 3 years experience. Because we're busy too. So like I'm high volume and I don't really, I can't. I do have a couple of girls that are pretty green right now that like I could train to maybe do, something, even if it were just golden retrievers or trim ups or whatever. But with what time? Like with what time? I don't have it. Where I'm working, we see 125 to 150 dogs a week for grooming, so I don't have 4 minutes even to, to
do your
train
own dog?
someone. I don't. I said that. We had company yesterday and the dogs were clean, but that was it. Like they left the shop Saturday, like not dry, I don't think. Not entirely dry. They were clean, but they were not done. So, so all joking aside, I have these couple green girls that I could like, mold and train my way, but I don't have the time. One of them would like to go to the academy.
I was
She
gonna say
would.
we're
She
not
would.
too far from you.
And she's really, she does have the passion for it. She's going to be amazing. She's going to do great things in this world. I'm hoping that I'm a good stepping stone and a mentor for her to go on, because the world is going to need something beyond me, beyond you, beyond you. Like the world needs
Yeah,
more
we
good
need them
groomers. So
if we're gonna
I know
stay.
I'm not the end of the world, the end of the road. Like this isn't. This is just. But this could be a really good opportunity for the both of us, for her and for I.
Yeah.
And she does want to go to the academy, but it's probably still going to be a couple of years. So in the meantime, I can show her what I can.
But we
But
could take her for a couple days and help with that bathing process.
that's what, yes, and that's what I said. So the bathing is great. It's table work. That's what she
Table work.
needs.
We
So,
just need a couple.
you
Lori would
And
just need
drying,
a couple days. Yep.
drying stuff.
I told her if you guys end up for a tour, I said you got to be here because you got to get talking to Dara.
Mhm.
I'm like, you got to see what your options are.
Yep.
So,
And I
We
think
have
that brings up another point that a lot of groomers still think like, well, school doesn't really matter because I could learn on the job. But there are so many groomers out there who need help. They don't need an apprentice. They want
right.
someone who knows how to
Exactly.
groom.
or at
Right.
least
Teaching
that
is not
doesn't-
everyone's driving force.
Yeah.
Teaching is hard. It's
It
not
is.
easy. It's a labor of love. If you do not enjoy teaching, it's not going to be something that is sustainable, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I tend to hold her back. Like, that's just me. Like, I tend to, not go. That's just who I am, right? Like, it's a protection thing. Like, I want to protect the clients and the dogs, and I want to protect her. And, so it's just, I already told her, I'm like, I'll be the one to hold you back. So, like, I can't. It's just not, where I had my mentor put a pair of scissors in my hand when I was 13 years old. And she's like, here you go. And I'm like, what do you mean, here you go? Like, what do you mean? She's just like, here you go. It's one of my dogs. Don't worry about it. If anything happens. And I'm like, so,
Can't go wrong.
that was hard, that was hard. And it was just, not a lot of direction. Very good groomer. And obviously, it worked out for me, but it was just, that's not how I want to teach somebody.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like, toss you in the deep end of the pool. Hope you can
Yes.
swim.
Yes, kind of, right, literally, so do I get the shears wet? Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So, and it did, and it worked out great for me. But there were some gaps, there were definitely some gaps. I can tell you there were things I had to learn on my own. And, because I did so well with what I was taught, I learned on the poodles. So, you're taught if you groom a poodle, you can groom anything. And that is true-ish. Except, there were areas I lacked in, right? Like terriers and things, just different coat types more than anything. I can scissor anything. But, there were areas that were missed because that was the concentration. So, I thought I was everything. I was like, I know how to groom poodles. I mean, then I got into the real world, my first real job. And yes, I was good, but then I was just like, well, I've never seen a Lhasa Apso. We just did poodles. So there were some gaps there, and I don't want that for anybody that's under my mentorship. So
well, and for looking for employees and stuff too, sometimes groomers are thinking like, well, I've been grooming for a long time and I'm worth that 50%. And it's not about you not being worth money.
Mhm.
It's about why the percentage. Like, we think you're worth it, but you're also probably going to need some training on your new job. Every job I have ever been on needs more training. Like, you need to learn how to fit in. You need to learn their format. You need to know how to talk to their customers, what their policies are, what look they like. Like, do they like a nice round face on their doodles? Is that their style? What does that shop look like? And train them up for it. But if groomers started thinking instead about what I need to make, what I need to take home to have a job that, is preparing for my retirement, to have like some benefits, to pay my bills, to make a fine living, 50% is a weird number. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, 50% of what? 50% of a $35 groom? I don't know if that was good or not. What was it? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and for everybody, yes, everybody's speed is going to be different, but a 35, just for, if you're doing $35 dogs in an hour and you have 7 dogs all day, I mean, well, let's just do the math and see.
Ooh.
Sorry. And I'm going to use my calculator.
But, just throwing it out there, like, for some people, they're not thinking about like 50% of a $35 dog versus 50% of a $50 dog, like that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense to look at our world that way. And just because we always have doesn't mean it was ever a good model.
Right. Exactly. Well, just throwing it out there. Just for instance, you did a $35 dog every hour for 7 hours. You'd only be making $15 an hour.
Right.
You can go to McDonald's.
And make more.
Yeah.
McDonald's is like, here is like 18 an hour at McDonald's right now.
Yeah, $15, $16, $17 an hour now at some of the fast food restaurants. So you can't, and it's not even feasible. We know you can't do $65 dogs or $85 dogs in an hour, but what's a norm? Shannon, how many dogs a day do you do?
Do you want me to answer that honestly? But I've been grooming for 30 years. So
absolutely. You've got longevity and you've got the skills to do that.
And it's
but
your long-term clientele, so you
Yeah.
know what
Right.
everybody gets for a trim, which
Right.
streamlines that process. Yeah.
So I do anywhere from 11 to 15 haircuts a day.
Okay.
But you have
And then,
somebody.
but I have an assistant. Yep, I have somebody prep them.
Yeah.
Somebody else is bathing. I sometimes bathe. There's 3 of us. We have 3 tubs. So we're a drop-off salon. So everybody gets dropped off and then called or sets up a pickup time when they're, so there's some, it's I can't do dogs one-on-one. I know that's moving in another direction too. So everyone's dropped off and picked up. Like that's how we work. We do have dogs go home sometimes as early as 10:30 in the morning. Again, why I have
It just depends on what they're doing, and you have the facility and the holding for that. So there's
it just depends on what they're getting and whatnot. So but those are just haircut dogs. So those are the dogs that I physically have to touch. And then on top of it, we have bath dogs. We see anywhere from like 20 to 25 dogs a day, and there's 2 of us and a receptionist.
Yeah.
So it's very high volume.
So that's really hard to price that at a commission.
Yeah.
Right.
And you are not expecting somebody to come in and take over right away your volume.
And nobody could. Nobody could, and I know that.
No,
there just isn't, I'm not looking for that expectation. I'm looking for someone to be able to do 5 to 7 dogs a day with that same help that I get. With
5
that same
to 7
help,
dogs a day. So that's would they have to do the bath dogs or finish all the bath
somebody
dogs?
else would do the bath dogs, so that would just be haircuts.
So 5
5
to 7
to 7 dogs a day would be, even if it were 5, right? As long as I were still able to make money off of them, right? Because I'm the one assuming the risk. I'm the one, on both ends.
So you're paying the bathers.
Yeah, and I'm paying bathers.
You're paying the receptionist. You're paying.
We have a cleaner.
Yeah.
So no one has to pick up a piece of hair that they cut off of those dogs. They get to put their tools away and walk out the door. So they have a lot of support staff. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
So if
Like,
there's anybody on Facebook right now,
you're about 15 miles from me, Shannon.
That's why sometimes I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's it. Literally, I'm looking for a finished groomer. Like, I'm not even looking for somebody that has to bathe their own dogs. I'm looking for someone to work, 9 to 4, 9 to 5, 9 to 3, like whatever.
But as a groomer, you cannot have
Saturday.
all of those things and make 50% commission.
Right.
You just can't.
You can't. There's no way. It wouldn't be worth me to have an employee, and that's why I do not. That's why I have done all of this. But I am, I have other areas of my business I have to take care of, and I can't because I'm physically working, which I still enjoy doing. But again, so if I've been doing this for almost 30 years, like let's do the math. I'm in my 40s, right? So I can't do this for
join the club.
20, right? Like, I just can't keep up this pace. But I still want my business to be successful. I want my business to be something in the end. I have an end game. I'm not looking to just retire and close the doors. I'm hoping that there will be somebody that wants to take it over and continue it and continue growing it and building it and doing whatever they want with it. And taking
even if that means you're silent behind the scenes, allowing it to
Right.
happen and continuing to collect.
So there's
any
a lot of
stipends.
opportunity there for the right person, and that's how I got into this situation. I was a longtime employee, and when my boss retired, I was that person that got to step up. That was always kind of the plan. It came into play a little sooner than we all had anticipated. But it worked out. It worked out great. But you can't. So but I worked very hard those 20 years to get to that point. Very hard, right? It got to the point where it was like a scale. She was up here when we started, and then we became equal, and then she started to take a step back, and I rose to the top. So, and then eventually it was mine. So it worked out for us in those parties. Like, I would love an opportunity like that. Somebody that had just as much passion and desire. And I think I'll groom until I'm dead. I don't plan on retiring. Like, I love working. I love what I do, but I don't want to, there's things I just like everyone else. There's things you just don't want to do anymore or can't do physically. Just changes.
Well, and the pressure of being the only groomer at your facility. There's some pressure there.
Yeah,
it is.
If you have a
Right, if I get hurt,
shoulder injury or something, you don't have anybody else grooming.
Exactly. and I don't want to be in that situation and have to start looking. I would rather have something in place now, so, but anyway, I mean, really it just comes down to, we could use some help. I mean, we could use some help. We could use a good groomer. We could use someone who has just as much passion for, the therapeutic end of things and holistic care, because that's what we've always done. That's what makes my heart go pitter patter, making sure the dogs are, at least in our care, we're holistically treating them emotionally, physically, the air is clean, the water is
Even
clean.
at a high volume where a lot of
Even
people
at a
say
high
it's not
volume,
possible, in a high
even at
volume,
a high volume,
still
yes.
do
We just
the-
make sure nothing comes before all of that, and it's not, that high volume isn't necessarily, to make more money. It's just, I have clients to support, my clients rely on me. Like, and we're trying to make changes to reduce, because we're booked out to like April right now. Like, I don't have an appointment to give anybody. Even our reschedules, we're having a hard time because there's just no appointments to give. We've stopped taking new clients. We don't take any more doodles. We haven't done that for like a year. And it's just, we're so lucky and we're so blessed. So I'd like to share that wealth with someone else,
Yeah.
but I just can't seem to find that person. So I'm just, I know what I want to offer somebody, but I can't seem to find that. So I don't know if it's just my area or if it's,
I think it's just that some groomers are just stuck in this mindset that 50% is what I need to make. It's like, how much money is that?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
How
it
much
really
money
comes back to that again.
do
How
you
much
need
are
to
you
make?
actually making?
Right.
How much are you actually making? What do you need to make?
Yeah.
And what are your duties? Is it just grooming? Because if you're making 50% commission, don't expect to have a brusher bather and,
Right,
people checking in your dogs and checking them out and, all the other perks that go with that. If you want 50% commission, the business can't afford you,
Exactly.
But
Right.
what do you need to make?
What do you think how would you, trying to word it right, if someone came to you and said, you know what, I love what you're doing, this is fantastic, I want a part of this, what would be your ideal price point for an hour?
I guess that's what I don't know. I guess it would come down to, it comes back to the numbers, right? Like so if we're following like the 33% of whatever they bring in should go towards them, 33% should go to me, and 33% to go to the business, right?
I
Like
mean,
that's kind of a formula.
that's
That's in a
the
perfect
formula.
world. That's in a perfect world. I
Yeah.
think, in honesty, with the expenses on the business end, I think that is accurate. I think that's kind of an accurate target anyway, just because, I do offer retirement, and I'm not, even if they don't want it, I still have to offer it. It's not, it's an all or one. It's a 401k plan. So even if they don't want to pay into it, I still have to.
Yeah.
So that has to come in.
That's huge.
It
That's
is
huge.
huge.
We talk
I don't
about that
know
all the time.
I
How
don't know
big
if
that
they
is. You know
understand
what
it,
your next is?
Yes, paid time off. It's just, everything is supplied.
You have vacation?
Yeah, we pay vacation. All supplies are covered. We use top of the line products.
Yeah. And
top
they
of-
have a regular looking paycheck when they want to get a loan for something.
Yes. Yes. How hard that is,
Looking
right?
paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So important.
So have you tried to just out of curiosity, just to see, maybe take, since you had said, what, 5 to 7 dogs a day?
Yep.
Start just tracking that, or you can go back and probably figure that out and do the breakdown of that, average that out, see what that comes to as an hourly rate.
Right. Yes.
So
And then
that would be the high end, right?
Right.
Because
That would be
then
the high end. Yes.
you'll work back from that to go, okay, this is what we're going to pay per hour. Now work backwards and go, because we offer this, 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 and this.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like you can offer people, we've even tried offering, a spreadsheet, because, people don't understand when we're paying taxes as a business, we're paying some of that too.
And then we have to match their taxes.
Yes. So taxes have to be paid, and then it does cost, to put into a retirement fund and paid time off for them not bringing in income. We put money aside for that, and and again, the expense of the equipment and the maintenance, and No, all advertising, though we don't do that right now because we don't have to, but
don't
still, you know, all that support staff, you
Mhm.
know, all those things they don't need to do, right? And it gives them more time to do another dog. It's just, I guess it's really not, I'm not on the wrong page with it. I just have to find the right person. That's all.
It's finding the wording too, and making, you know, if you look at every job opportunity, it all says in our industry, they all read exactly the same. Drama-free salon looking for. Right?
They're drama free.
W2 employee. It all reads the same. It's like, come on. How many times, you know, I can go to any one of these shops and get the exact same job and be at it for a year and move along. So how do you make yourself stand out from that is, you know, the people that have come and that I have surrounded myself with, granted we're different because we're on an educational, and doing that education is different, but Chrissy said it. Do you know how hard it is to find somebody
Right.
who can teach, let alone just groom and teach? I mean, that was brutal. So it took me a long time to find them, put the right team into place for that. So to find
Yeah.
groomers now, you know, we're kind of cultivating them and sending them out. And Chris, you know, most of them don't want to leave us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that trend, right? You're holding on to them, greedy. So
yeah,
with
yeah.
so
And it's hard to not want to keep the best ones, but at some point we got to branch them out. But I
Yeah.
have found that 90% of our students go on and open and do their own thing.
right, which is
Because
the other challenge, exactly. So what do you do you have a conversation, like is there somewhere in the syllabus that you guys talk about pay scale to these groomers? Like what are their expectations leaving the academy? Like what are they looking to achieve, or are you just setting them up so that they're not employees and they're looking to like literally go out on their own? Like
no, it really depends on each individual. We take them case, I don't want to say case by case, but student by student. You know,
Yeah.
we do have we have this under 30 and 40 and over. So that in between is where we don't tend to get, because you're kind of in the middle right there. Am I right,
Yeah.
Chrissy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
kind of like they're either under 30 or they're 40 and over.
Yep.
And that
And
weird
those
like in
40 and
between,
overs, they're
half
like,
decade, like not many. Yeah.
I've worked
Yeah.
for somebody for my entire life. I'm going out on my own. So we take the younger that are coming up, and then we're very, very selective actually about where they go and who they go to. Couple reasons, because we want to make sure that they're going someplace that they're going to have a good experience, as well as who's hiring them. So we do have quite a good group of people that, and other shop owners that are like, send them my way, I'm gonna take them, you know, and we really try to fit people together. So that's what we do at the school.
When
But go ahead, Chrissy.
when I was on the floor, like teaching new groomers, one of the things I was mentioning to them is that when you finish school, there are lots of different types of businesses out there, and we're going to try to help you like find what type of grooming business you want to work for, you know, because there are just so many opportunities. Do you want to, you know, work in a high volume place that has lots of other things happening? Do you want to do corporate? Do you want to eventually own your own house call business or mobile, or what's your goal? And we want to try to help you toward that. But also you leave school as an entry level groomer.
Yeah.
You know,
That
we
is
need you to
very,
still
very
find somebody to work with and build your skills even more, even though you're awesome. I mean, the kind of things that students can do by the time they leave, they're really doing really well. But I think we all know as experienced groomers, like that first 5 years is really important. like that's where you're going to learn a lot of skills, and who you're
That's where
around is
you make
important.
or break your habits.
Yeah, yeah. And when I was on the floor talking to them, there were plenty of times where it came up like there are lots of ways that
Yeah.
places will pay you, but you need to make sure it's legal. And that's
That's
where some of these 50% or like, like
yeah.
are you legally an employee? And you need to really know what to look for. Hourly is probably a really good choice because at least this is set up in a legal way.
Yeah. And we usually say we price them out depending on if Massachusetts is different because of the laws when it comes to minimum wage. But I honestly I do not feel that that minimum wage is it's not a living wage.
No, it's not.
Yes,
And none of my
it's an
staff is
entry
paid
level
minimum.
position,
Mm.
but as a groomer coming out of school in New Hampshire, they should not be making $7.35 an hour. Even with tips, that's not reasonable.
No.
$10 or $12 an hour for a month for the first time on the job. But you also got to look at. I try to take into consideration age, and you don't want to offer somebody that's in their 40s a job at $10 an hour, right? Because that's difficult. So finding the balance, I think that's why so many of our students at the other age they know they can see it. I don't need to be in that category because I can do it on my own. But it's finding the balance and finding out, like you said, what else is there? $12, $13. I think apprenticing. I say apprenticing if it is a true apprenticeship. If you are coming in and doing and getting skills, not just being a workhorse for someone. A true apprentice program is something that can be done, but that's hand-holding. You're standing next to them constantly. You're really working with them. You're practically a school in that fact, where you are standing there making sure that the job is done properly until they know how to do that. Then you move on. I don't think that's feasible in our industry. You said that it's not feasible. So what's minimum wage is 15 an hour right now, and
a little better, I think. It just went up January. Maybe it's $15.50. I mean, none of my staff make that. I mean, my cleaner makes a good chunk more than that. My cleaners do. It's just
Yeah.
When
I
it's
want
that
them to
high,
stay.
groomers got to know
Right.
you're going to be making more money on the hourly side than you are on the commission side.
Right.
And it's too hard to try to figure that out.
Right. Well, and I don't want that responsibility.
Figure that out and make sure, oh God, are they making the right amount? You can't hire somebody that's doing, I just want to do 2 dogs a day.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't think there's I wish Jennifer was kind of back in there to throw some Jennifer-isms out.
Jennifer-isms.
Jennifer-isms. She's pretty savvy in this too. I mean, she has a lot of staff, and she does. When I shouldn't say staff, but she has a very solid team, and keeping that team close together, finding them. Our industry needs to make some mind shifts. I really think that's what's it's coming down to. Owners got to get on board. We got to be pretty similar. I mean, we can't be, I don't want to say we should be similar because it shouldn't be, but you should be charging for the overhead and paying what the overhead can, and doing things that way and creating and cultivating that environment. I just can't. I'm baffled by why you haven't found someone. I mean, I hear and I feel lot of
Maybe I'm a quitter. I don't know. I get frustrated because
Yeah.
not that I take it personally, but I feel as if I'm putting myself and my business at risk, even hiring somebody. And then when they come in with their demands, and I'm like, wait a minute. But I've also, because I was always an hourly employee for the business that I own now. I came in as an hourly, and that's how I was always paid until at one point I was switched over to like salary. And I enjoyed that because I knew I knew what I was bringing home. Yes, maybe my tips were, different, but I used those differently. Like that was my fun. I was a kid. So that was my fun money if there was something fun. But I was able to buy a house at a very young age because I had proof of employment. I bought my first house when I was 22, a nice house, and I had dogs and I had a nice car because I had something to show. I wasn't off books. I wasn't working on, I wasn't getting a paper paycheck every week with, mumble jumble on the side telling me what I did. And it does work well from a team player point of view because there isn't, no one stands up and says, that's not my job because everybody knows, what I always tell them is that I can do any one of their jobs, but nobody can in the building at the moment can do my job. So, I need them to do their job first, but I can't be doing their job. I can't be looking at the book and taking phone calls and, placing orders unless I have the time for it. And then so at the end of the day or on the weekends, if I have to catch up, I can do those things, but nobody can help me out. So I can't fall behind, and they know that, and they're great. A wonderful team. I just looking to, just work smarter, not harder, maybe,
harder.
Yeah. So I have a question then.
I usually always try to talk to people when I'm working with consulting jobs is to talk to them about looking inside their team first and seeing who is the one to be brought along first. Because sometimes just starting within is the way to go, and investing in them versus trying to bring somebody else in is a better risk. You've already got a relationship established. They've already got skin in the game. So now how do you create and cultivate and nurture that to the next level?
Right. Yeah. And that is an option, but then, I'm taking that person away from the job that they do. So then I have to find a replacement for that job. Right. So that is an option. So then it becomes Tetris. I'm like, because she's really good at that job. Like she's really good. And that makes my job so much easier. So if I take her away from that, then, I need to find somebody. And is that an easier replacement? Sometimes not. Right. Like she's just, she's got great customer service. The clients love her. She knows me. She knows my isms because I have a lot of them, and she manages that well. And she's willing, to do the things that maybe, I need to do, but can't do, then she's like, okay, well, get it on paper or voice memo it, and then I'll edit it. And I'm like, oh my God, like no one's ever said that. Like, let me help you. I'm always like, what can I do for you guys? How can I make your life easier? How can we make this work better? But I haven't necessarily had that pleasure of somebody saying, what can I do to take things off of you? So, that's a great team player. Like she's amazing. I just don't want to lose her over here when I need her over there, so it's kind of I guess that's just something I have to decide, right? That's just a decision, but that is a good point, to look within for sure.
So I have a question, and this might be more of a Dara question, but if you're a business owner and you are saying, I think I'm ready for an employee, how do you figure out what kind of growth do I need from where I'm at to be able to pay somebody to come in and start this other job to be an employee? Is there, like you guys had mentioned, like 33% kind of is there a format of function to figure that out?
That's pretty much the go-to format that I think pretty much all of us stand by is 33. I mean, that's the system that has been in place for how long, Shannon? I don't even know.
Well, it just comes down to everyone's individual expenses, right? Like, I own my building.
Pay, and then
I own my building. I have a mortgage on the building that I operate out of, where somebody down the street from me rents. So Their rent isn't going to be what my mortgage is. And their
Mhm.
property maintenance is, they have none because they
Yeah.
pay rent. So my,
Yeah.
you know, my grooming prices, we are the most expensive in town. I know that, you know, there's nobody that charges what we charge. But again, there's nobody that pays out what I pay either. So
Yeah.
it's, so you take all of that, right? So if I,
Yep.
you know, just for simple math, if I need, you know, $20,000 a month to operate the business, that just to operate it, you know, ultimately you go up from there. So it costs us $20,000 to operate. That's supplies, pay, not
Not even payroll. Payroll
That's just
is
supplies and
another piece.
overhead and bills. You know, now you add payroll, and now you add what you want out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always
Yeah.
have to make sure. And one thing in our industry that I see happen time after time after time is that the owner or whoever is, oh, I got all this, but then they leave themselves out.
Right.
And that's why there's so much struggle in our industry, is because it's like, you got to account for yourself first. Because if you can't pay yourself, how can you pay anybody else?
Right.
You got to be able to handle that. So it's it's challenging. How, now I'm going to go to Shannon. How did you make the steps in the progression
From
from small to large?
we were always, so when I took over ownership 7 years ago, there were 2 groomers. So it was me and the previous owner.
Okay,
And
so it was an established business.
it was established. Yep. It's been,
Yep.
the business is 32 years old. I've been there
Oh, wow.
28.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It was
I
a big business already. Yeah.
Yep, it was a business
Yeah.
already. Yep. And
It
I
was
took
big.
over, but I worked there for 20 years before, you know, but we were always busy. We had a great reputation. We were the only,
Okay.
at one point, we were the only grooming shop.
You just said it right there. What was it about that business that made you stay there 20 years?
I had an amazing boss. She was the best. We had a great relationship. It was like a perfect marriage, you know, our even friends of ours, and even like, yep, literally, like she used to say, she's the heartbeat and you're the soul. You know, because, you know, she got burnt out, and that's why she gave it up. And it wasn't the dogs. I think you know, it was the staff. It was the same reason where I am now, where I'm going, okay, well, how can I fix this so I don't end up there? You know,
Yeah.
I don't, you know, and I do see glimpses of what could be fantastic, you know, and I'm so grateful for where we're at right now. But yes, we just had a great relationship. It wasn't always perfect. You know, she taught me a lot of what not to be as a boss, just as much as she taught me what to be. She was really, really strict, especially in the beginning, and it gave me great work ethic, you know, and I also was, you know, I needed a job. I just was in a position at a very young age where being unemployed was not an option.
Yeah.
And so it just worked. It worked for both of us. And eventually it went from a working relationship to a friendship to family to, you know, something I could have never even imagined. That, you know, I miss her terribly. She moved away, and we're still very good friends, and we keep in contact. But, you know, like, just, it's like the good old days. Like we could be together for 10 hours a day and still go out to dinner that night. And I'm, you know, and find something to talk about. You know, I'm like, well, I've only been gone for 30 minutes, but want to know what the dogs did? Want to know what my dogs did? Want to know what they did in the backyard before I came here? So it just worked. I don't know. It just was, you know, I was as happy to make her happy as she was, you know, to make me happy. And it just, you know.
So it was, you said it was a marriage.
Marriages
are hard.
Yes.
Marriages are hard. It's a lot of work.
It
You got to
is.
work at that. You got to work at your relationships. I mean, Chrissy and I worked at our relationship.
Yeah, it's just
Both
hard.
of us? Did we both?
Well, after I got over turmoil, yes.
Using you, Tara.
Well, especially working in tight quarters, right? Or having different views on something, right? You know, like the grooming shop is tiny. It's 1,100 square feet, and most of the time we're within 6 feet from one another. So, you know, some days it can be very quiet and we don't talk at all. And then other days we talk about things all day long. You know, it kind of depends. And but you know, when it's an environment, when someone's having a bad day, you know it, right? Like it's not like somebody can go to their desk and get over something. Like, so it's just such a intricate, it's like a puzzle piece, I guess. And it's just
Yes.
finding that,
Like
you
said,
find,
it's Tetris.
yeah, it's just,
All the pieces have to fall into place for all the
they
right
do.
people, and as they, but it does.
Yeah.
It
Maybe I
really
just have to be a little more
does fall into
open.
place.
Well, and I think maybe when you're talking about like a job opening, you should also be talking about, we encourage you to be the best you can be.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, we
like
said
we
that, and I
offer
tried
holistic
that. Yeah.
therapies. We do lots of really interesting stuff. We wanted another team player to work with a bunch of really good team players, and
Right.
to feel like you can pursue your career and not feel like you're stuck doing just one thing. Because I think a lot of groomers do feel stuck. And every once in a while they're like, I'm going to start my own business. I'm like, okay, as a business owner, there are days where I'm like, I would like to work for someone else only.
I
God knows
always
there are
say, I'm
days
the
where,
person,
right?
come to me, I'll
Days
talk
where I'm
you
like,
out
I
of
have
it.
a house call business.
I
I'm
will
like,
talk you out of it. I will talk you out of it. So my week hasn't even started, and I already have like 2 people out sick. My week hasn't even
right?
started. I just put the schedule up yesterday, and I've already had to make adjustments. And I'm just like, when is it April? Like, where is this? Where's the sunshine?
Yes, I
I've even
know.
Sometimes you
tried
need to
taking
enjoy being an employee. Enjoy being an employee. For some people,
Exactly.
you are just not cut out to be a boss or an
Yeah.
owner. Like, I don't have employees. I'm house call. I don't have employees for a reason. I don't want
Right.
that on my head. Like, I just like to do my own thing. But I think sometimes groomers are like, well, I could work on my own. I'm like, but being an employee for some place that's going to support you like that and have such a
Exactly.
great working environment, like, that's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll just have to reevaluate, I guess. I've even left like the pay like to be determined, like open ended, and we always have someone fill out a questionnaire so that like I have a feel for what they're looking for. We just leave that, what pay wage is desired, just so that I kind of have and sometimes we get people that really don't want a lot of money, and that tells me, they don't have the skill that, maybe the other groomer does, right? But then other times it's just 50%. Well, I'm like 50% of what? Like, I just wish people could be a little more, they're so taboo about it. People come from other shops and they won't say, even with the daycare aspect of my business, people like, can't you just come out and tell me what you were making? Like, what I'm going to pay you isn't going to change because someone else paid you $2 less or $3 less. Like, but let me know that. So then at least I know I am paying you better, or I'm not, because sometimes you get stuck, especially with all of COVID. What I used to pay my staff 2 and 3 years ago was good money. Now it's crap. Like, everyone got raises like the last 2 years in a row, and good raises, because I had to keep up with McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, who's advertising as I drive by in the morning, $17.50 to start part-time. So, do you want to stand outside in the rain all day and get muddy and jumped on by dogs for $16 an hour? Or do you want to go over here and make coffee wrong for more than that and not get yelled at for it? Because who's gonna loop back around with their wrong coffee from the drive-through?
They do.
One day after Christmas, I had it because I was cooking coffee the first of the year, and it was like coffee, and it was wrong, and I was so mad, and I almost did it. Sat in my car all day, had the tag on it. Dunkin' Donuts number 792, 4:57 a.m., and I'm just like. But,
I walked in. I pulled over and walked in at one point. I'm like, this is the third time this week. This Dunkin' Donuts has given me a cup that leaks. I don't want to wear it. I'm trying to drink it. Yeah. So they get their own share of arguments.
So I feel like I do pay my staff well, but and I always do. Like, I jump on Indeed, I see what other people are paying, and they just don't stick. So maybe I'm just finding the wrong person, or I'm not. I don't know. I think I'm a good people reader, but maybe I'm just, maybe I need a course. Is there a course on that, Dara? Come on, I've taken everything else. Like, is there a course on people reading? With animal communication, is people reading?
I was gonna say.
There's not much more.
No, I do. I write a lot of job descriptions, so I've gotten pretty good at that, and even trying, people, when I look at when I look at the grooming sites and on Facebook and groomer for hire, and it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. I'm like, no wonder we're boring.
We're boring.
It's so boring. You know, you do the same. There's so many shops. This is why I wasn't a great groomer, because for me, it was boring. And I'm not Chrissy knows I am not a flashy, fancy groomer. It was on to the next, because my mind does not, I can't sit and look at something for that long unless it's got a lot of numbers attached behind it. So
Yeah. Well, and that's it. Sometimes just finding the right fit. Like, what kind of grooming do you like to do?
Right.
Are you somebody who wants to do hand stripping? I
maybe
would
that's
like
what
to
it is.
find that
Is
clientele for you.
setting yourself that way.
Are you someone who shows dogs and needs your weekends off? Maybe I can accommodate that. Think
Right.
about some of the things that other grooming shops have trouble with. That was actually one of the things why I started my own business. I felt like I was never going to get a Saturday off. Like I needed a death in the family or a wedding to get a Saturday
Right.
off,
Right.
and I wanted to compete with my dogs. I compete in fly ball, like that. I think sometimes we just have to talk about our perks of our business, not just about what we pay and like what the staff looks like, but like what kind of an employee you're looking for, and how you want to support them and what they want to do next.
Right.
Yeah.
We can change that up and see. So, see if I get anything
And
interesting.
maybe ask them what kind of groomer they are. What are they looking for?
Right.
Instead, we're looking for somebody. If we have an open policy here for interviewing. What kind of job are you looking for? What do you want? What do you need? Maybe that's a way to get people in the door a little bit easier. The putting down that job description is always trying to say why you're a great company to work for. That's one thing, instead of saying we're a drama free, and I know you probably don't, but that is a big thing in our industry about drama-free zone. We're a drama-free zone. When you have women together, it's never drama.
It's not right. Exactly. Right.
And if you have to keep repeating it, it might not be true.
Oh, yeah. And if you're looking for a job, if you're looking to fill a position every 6 months, it's probably not a drama-free area.
Right.
But you don't seem to have that. So
no, I don't. That is something that you just don't put up with.
Highlighting and showcasing, like Christy said, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is the kind of creatures we work on. These are the prices you don't even have to, but maybe, this is the price point we're hitting, or our average groom is such and such. We pay by the skill,
right?
Not a commission. We pay and have multiple benefits that you can choose from.
Mm-hmm. And another suggestion for Shannon and for anybody else out there who's thinking about hiring people, I kind of like to look at what the place looks like. And you don't necessarily have to have pictures in an ad, but if you have an ad that links to a spot on your website that kind of shows like what that work environment would be like for someone, it doesn't even need to be a public site, like your customers might not even see it, but just a URL on your website to send people to, like, you interested in becoming a groomer here? Let me show you what our staff looks like, what our equipment looks like, what's going on here.
Hidden page.
A little tour.
Right.
Yeah, on its own page.
Yeah.
Help people see exactly what they're getting into and see some of the, some of the idea of what they would be looking at.
Yeah, we like people with superpowers. That's a big thing right now, is asking people what their superpowers are, or what kind of what if they could be any animal, what would it be? Engaging them in it.
Yeah.
I did ad not too long ago for, and I did it for groomers just to see. And we don't get a lot because we have to have that teaching aspect, and it's tough. But the way I thought I worded it did really well. But I write ads better for other people than I do myself. It's like writing bios. I can write anybody's bio but my own.
Yeah, right.
But I'm so much better at writing content for everybody else but me. But it's all in the wording. I mean, and I'm happy to do it. I've done it for a lot of other people. Send it to me and I'll pick through it and
Yeah.
you
And
know
put like some sort of like a little video tour on a web page for
Yeah.
just a landing page for people who are interested, whether that be a video tour or and it doesn't need to be video tour. Things don't need to be super, super slick. In fact, I think it either is super, super slick or really personal. It could just be you with a phone going, hey, so this is what our place looks like, and we'd like for you to join us. And,
Yeah.
let me show you around our workspace. Something that tells people your character and what's available there, and that it's clean and it's well stocked, and, people are doing their jobs and smiling,
Wouldn't it be cool if we did like open houses?
Mm.
Open houses for a job. Hey, we're hiring. We're having an open house today. Anybody who's looking, come on in.
Everyone wants 50%. The door's over
Yeah.
there.
Right.
You go in that
So we
room.
don't have to offer that, but that would be neat if everybody did that. That way, it really cut out a lot of mess.
What about hiring platforms? Like is there anything anywhere you're posting or would suggest posting other than what I'm doing? Indeed, ZipRecruiter. Like, is there anything like, am I missing anything? I've tried Facebook, whatever, Groomers for Hire. I got nothing. That's just worldwide, right? Like that's, and nobody, Dracket Mass? Where's Dracket Mass?
Yeah, I know.
Like it's Drakeit. Dracula? No, Drakeit. Where's that? Near Lowell. It's a cute little town.
Near what?
I know. Well, people get shot there. No.
Oh,
So
yeah, and it's the thing. There's the New England Groomers page, and that's very
that's broad as well, right?
It is broad. There's a lot of people on there, but I think it's hard because I think a lot of people on there mostly know each other. So I wonder how frequently people are actually like, if they're just there for real. I haven't been on it in so long. I don't know. The Groomer for Hire, Indeed. That's what I post on Indeed when we have to. But I also reach out to people.
I'm laughing because I haven't looked for a job in forever. Dara found me and asked me,
I did. I reached out to her. I'm like, hey.
I was like, I don't know anyone looking for a job. So I was kind of thinking you. Oh.
So I do. I will. What is that called? Yeah, I'll go to my local Petco and PetSmart. And here's my card if you're ever looking.
That's not cool.
I'm not trying to steal their clientele.
I know.
I mean,
but hey,
there's nothing wrong with that. It is when you meet somebody, you do what you gotta do. I'm not walking into local grooming shops across the street going, hey guys, I know your owner's not here today, but no. But it's okay. Yeah. I think Petco and PetSmart, that is a fantastic. If you're not there as a manager or doing something more, you're looking for something more. You're either looking to climb the corporate ladder there, or you're there to get the skills or some type of training to be able to move on in the industry. Because there's not a lot of other places that are going to give it. So whether, we all say Petco, PetSmart, their training's terrible, but it's a stepping stone,
It's a
and
start,
it's
right? It
going
is
to
a start,
start
right?
getting new people.
See,
They're
and I don't think their training's terrible. I've known so many people who really did great work
great,
there.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. There is a place for everyone, and
yeah.
we know. So their district managers are phenomenal in New England, and yeah, I'm gonna go through and look and say, do you want? Or we've had them come to us from recommendations from within. You make a relationship with a manager that might not be working well with some of their teams. You go, you know what? If it doesn't work, send them my way. Get your foot in the door with a local Petco PetSmart. Because
Well, and I think a lot of people stay with the corporate jobs because they offer the kind of things you offer, Shannon. Yeah, that like, oh wait, somebody else who offers like, paid days off and things like that, that just making it more obvious to people what makes your business unique and different and awesome.
yeah. They're not used to that in our industry. And think about a lot of people that get to Petco and PetSmart, they don't know what else is out there in the industry. So there's nothing wrong with going and making yourself known in there. What do you? Am
Yeah.
I? No, I'm
It's
wrong.
just very, very brave and bold. I know, right?
But your position is different,
I tend to
Sarah.
be
You're
like
not. You're not. You're like the middleman. So you're not saying, "Hey, come work for me." You're saying, "Hey," you're like a recruiter. You're like, "Hey, I might maybe have a better situation for you. I can't. I just can't walk into and wave my card and be like, "Hey,
no,
here."
but you can go in and introduce yourself to the salon manager
True. Yes.
and
for
say,
sure.
I'm right around the corner. You know what? If you have somebody that you're finding's not working here, maybe they'll work for me. Send them my way. You're opening a conversation.
Right.
You're making a relationship. That's big.
Yeah.
Well, and even if you're doing stuff like the New England group on Facebook or the New England Pet Grooming Professionals, maybe
Mhm.
through there, even if you're like talking to them, the people who never post are also seeing it.
Right. So it's just networking, right? It's just a larger
Yeah.
network.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot
Right.
of people who never post anything and never respond to anything. There's a lot of people in there that maybe someone's going to go, oh, wait, what? That sounds good place for me, or maybe that sounds like a good place for my friend,
Right.
and it's
Those-
just it's going to take a while for people to get away from the idea that 50% commission is what we get. And I actually didn't like making 50% commission. I would much rather be hourly when I was working for people. The attitudes with the people around me were better.
Right.
There was a little bit more room for helping each other out, things like that.
Yeah, that aligns. That totally
Yeah.
aligns, for sure. So it's just all right, back to the drawing board.
And
Lots
for
of good,
anyone who's listening,
lots of good
Shannon's in
information.
Drake-It.
Right.
Drake-It, Mass.
Exactly.
Shannon is in Drake-It, Mass. If you are listening right now and you're thinking, yes, then
Well, this was a lot of good information,
You were
even if we were just talking in circles about some of it, and it's like all joking aside, it's a great, the world needs more good groomers. So if the school is putting out groomers that are able to go on their own, that takes the pressure off of us that, already have an existing clientele. So, we're all helping each other out one way or the other. So even if you're not able to feed us, a plethora of groomers that are ready to be employees, at least you're able to put people out there that are on the same philosophy as
Yeah.
that means a lot to me, that I know that at least dogs are being treated correctly, because I can't groom them all,
No.
and so we always like to have, and up until maybe like this last year, because of COVID and all of the salons, well, not all the good ones around me are booked, right? There's some, but when people ask, well, I can't wait until April. Where can I go? Like I'm like stone cold. I don't even know how to answer because the only shop I would consider isn't taking new clients either. So like, if you're asking me where you can go anywhere. But if you're asking me my recommendation, and I don't badmouth anybody, but there are a couple of salons that are not kind. So, it's just heartwarming to know at least there are groomers that are coming into this industry and are willing to, do things in a holistic manner and under your advice and of the instructors. So that's huge. That's huge. It really is huge because we need more groomers. We need more groomers. So,
Yeah. We need the groomer support.
Right.
Yeah, we need more jobs for the new groomers.
We do. We need groomer support because again, you hear so many. Oh God, that school they don't. It's like you can't teach everyone everything.
Yeah, no.
In such a short period of time. It is a short period of time, but at the same time, you got to be realistic. As in, people aren't going to go to grooming school for 2 years. Not in this country. Maybe in other countries they do.
Right.
But that's not a feasible expectation. You've got to look at it as an hour count and do the best you can and give them the best education. And it's like, you're going to take all of this, learn this.
Yeah. Well, and to fill them with all of the good base level information to make them a really good entry level groomer.
Yeah. Right, and safe, right? Safe, open-minded,
open, and that's really try to keep them open-minded.
Right? Like you're working on not only keeping the dog safe, but them as well, right? Like I love all the courses, the safety courses and the sanitation and all those things that 30 years ago we weren't taught. I mean, grooming shops were not sanitary. I'm sorry. I mean, they weren't. I mean, we groomers were responsible for cleaning up at the end of the day. And,
there were a lot of mistakes that were really commonly made that,
because at the end of the
shampoos and diluting your shampoos before you left, and then they'll be ready for Monday. Like, oh my God, we did it all the time.
Putting even some of the chemicals that we use to clean with opposed to what's out there now. So, what you're putting out as a product is so much more than just somebody who can style. Yeah. So that's, that's really important. It's really important. No, it's not a haircut. People are going to pause and go, you would hope anyway. You would hope that the newer groomers are going to pause and go, ew, I'm not working there. They don't clean. Ew, look at this place. Ew, they have mixed shampoo or, products, they flip over the ingredients of shampoo bottle. I know what's in that. This stuff makes your hair fall out, not grow it. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing what you're doing to put those, those girls out there or those boys out there, whoever it is, that are, our next up and coming.
Our next generation.
Yeah, because that matters.
That is our next generation. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we went way over tonight.
Because it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was. Thanks for having and Shannon is like our dual, triple diploma graduate.
I don't have anything in hand. So I feel like I've worked very hard, but I don't get nothing to show for it. Nothing.
You're almost there.
You do, though. It's all in a folder here in my desk.
She's getting there. Shannon
started in February. You enrolled?
Yes.
Almost a year ago.
Yes.
Went through. I didn't
touch material until August.
I pushed her. Start. You gotta start.
August 8th was my start date. So thank you for the kick in the pants. You were like, okay, so I'm like closing this out if you don't start. I'm like, you said you could be flexible. You're like, it's been 6 months. I think that's I was like,
and then she went from 0 to martini. and 5 months later has 3 diplomas.
Oh my God. So
it's halfway through mine too. So
as I said, she's almost through your diploma. She's got Master of Holistic Arts. Oh, actually, you've got more. Master of Holistic Arts, Salon esthetician, you just submitted in your master pet esthetician, master of canine science,
And I'm finishing up with
and
Sophie. Yes.
you
Yes.
know,
I may
so
as well. I'm
you're
halfway there.
specialist.
I'm halfway
What?
there. So, and if I'm gonna do it, I may as well do it through the winter, right? So then I'm free. I'm free. Like come April, my Mondays are free. I'm
I
like
got
done.
nothing else
So-
for you. I'm like, I got to create
I
more.
know. So I checked in. I'm like, well, what else? Like, what's next for me? And she, no reply. No reply. She's like,
I'm like,
Well, you don't groom cats or bunnies,
Yeah.
so we could add.
yes.
no, what I said was, come on the show tonight.
Cat grooming, rabbit grooming.
And she's like, oh, that sounds cool.
Cool. Like time for that. Huh. No, very grateful for everything you offer. Like it's such a breath of fresh air, really. Like even some of the stuff that we've always done, now it's just nice to see other people doing it and not have to learn as hard, right? Like I feel like not that I was one of the pioneer groomers because my mentor was like she was the pioneer groomer that said, we're gonna start grooming dogs. Like I swear she invented it. Like it was just, literally she was just like, I'm gonna do this. Like this is what we're gonna do. And 40, 50 years ago, like there really weren't grooming shops and there's so many people that have spanned from there, but I'm in that realm of grooming where, we didn't have great equipment. We didn't have good products and I'm glad to have not stuck there. I didn't get stuck
Yeah.
there. We have great equipment now, we have great products, but like I had to learn the hard way. So what you're doing is showing people there is a hard way, but you don't have to do it that way.
You don't have to do it the hard way.
You don't have to do it that way. Save your body, save your organs, your lungs, all of this. Yes, everything. Save all of that so that, when you're my age, you're not as broken, right? And whatever. And you can continue doing it and enjoy it and whatever. So, the Academy is wonderful. Like what a great, and to have right at our fingertips, at least me and Chrissy, we're here. This is our area. I know, anybody listening doesn't know that, but we're an hour from the Academy, right? So nice that it's here.
I'm about 15 miles away from Shannon.
I know. We're neighbors, literally.
Yeah.
I got an idea. But we'll talk about
Nashua, right? I never say Nashua right either.
That's true. But thank you. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on.
For
Thanks for
sure.
coming on. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And I think that it's really relevant to the industry right now in general.
Yeah. Hopefully
It's a big topic for people, like what as an employee should you be thinking about making? And as an employer, how do you pay your people? And, how do you find people? It's a good discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
Good discussion.
All right.
Awesome.
So I think that wraps it up. But we're going to mention it again that if you want to find us, wholepetnh.com for the Whole Pet Grooming Academy. And we're doing the Teton Grooming Expo in May, and that's tetongroomingexpo.com.
Yep.
And anything else? I think that's everything.
I think that's good. All right. Hang out with us. We'll see you in a minute. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Hi.
Nice
again.
show. That was really good.
I didn't ramble on too much.